Welcome back, everyone. So this is my Cotoneaster Microphyllus. It's essentially just a dwarf variety of Cotoneaster. I've got a few Cotoneasters at the minute. I did actually put a video up the other day of a little bench tour, but it was quite a long tour, so I don't really blame anyone for not watching the whole thing. It's one of the things that it's one of the videos that you make, but you also realise that it's not my usual kind of content. My usual kind of content is like 10-15 minutes long. I don't know about anyone else, but I struggle to watch some bonsai videos that just go on and on and on. Especially when you've got a voice as boring as mine sometimes. Yeah, so I don't even think I cut this yet from when I bought it. Pretty sure there aren't any cuts, so I think I just bought it and then let it grow. So I think it's about summertime. I'm due to be in the middle of summer, and it wasn't as bushy as this. I just kind of let it grow out. Now I will address something. I do say a lot as a filler word. I'm trying to work on that. But you just have to part with it for now. So, base-wise on this tree, I'm going to have to cut down a little bit on the pot and figure out exactly where the base is. I know that I've got its main trunk here on the left, and it kind of has this branch that's going out to the right. Now, is that a branch that's rooted itself, or is that part of the root base? I'm not too sure. And there's also this branch at the back here. These are very low branches, so I have to decide what I want with that. Without going too far ahead of myself, because I like to work from the bottom up on the tree, so I will be looking at the base, but initial ideas could be that this bottom right branch here is like a cascading kind of branch. Obviously, once I cut away some of the pot, this could kind of start to cascade, because Cotoneaster do like to cascade as well, so they're quite an easy tree to do that with. So the tree could essentially, the shape kind of could be leaning back this way with an apex kind of up here somewhere, and then this cascading branch coming down here. That could be where we go with it, but I won't jump ahead of myself. So first, let's get rid of this top bit of pot. So what I want to try and do nowadays is, so on all my videos, well, most of them, I was doing I was kind of recording a video, and then I was doing a voiceover for that video, which seemed to work all right. It means I can edit the audio and just any annoying things I do, which is like saying The problem is this takes me a very long time to then edit. I end up getting a bit too hyper-focused on the audio part, and this means a lower frequency of actually sharing videos. I've found for myself that I can do it a lot quicker when I do the audio with the video and then just cut out from there, because the editing part of the video is quite easy for me. As I say, it is the audio, so I'm going to try and do this style of content where I talk while I'm working, which, bear with me, because I'm still quite new to bonsai, and it's one of the things that I have to focus on a lot, which means that I just go silent at times, but hopefully I can fill the space later on with some music or whatever. So I'm just making sure I've got no weeds, trying to get out all the weeds. Obviously there's some fertiliser on top here. I'm just trying to get this kind of down to where I think the roots are. So I know I've got a root coming out here. There was a little bit of growth off of that. I don't need that. Suckers and stuff. Yeah, you can see the roots from that already. Cotoneaster is one of them things, it will self-layer itself. So if you've got a branch that bends into the soil, so say this one here, if I put this into a pot of soil down here somewhere, give it like a year, and that branch would root itself anyway, and you can take cuttings that way. And I will be taking cuttings off of this because I do really like the species. The leaf size is very minimal. Let's put one off here. You can see that. And I like to make show-in marmee sized trees, and the best way to do that is obviously the smaller the leaf. You can't really make a decent looking, realistic marmee with, say, an oak tree. The leaves are just too big. You could obviously reduce the leaf size over time, but I still think every tree kind of has this minimum it will go down to without making the tree unhealthy. So like this is grown in a container, and these are the normal size leaves I'd imagine in bonsai soil or Kadama, pumice, etc. with some pruning techniques as well. These leaves will get even smaller, and then it'll look very good. Has really tight foliage as well, sort of alternating growth pattern, which is quite nice, although it does grow. Forgotten the word of it, but you get 2 leaves in one place basically, so you have to watch out for taper issues there because it will be thickening. So I think next up what I'm going to do is, so obviously I've got down to where I think the root base is for now. I'm just now going to tidy up some of the inside, cut away some of this stuff so it looks less bushy and we can actually see a bit of the structure. Okay, decision made. I've got 2 branches off of this, right? So this branch here comes down, and there's 2 main branches off of this. My original thought was to obviously start the process of biopurification down here, have these 2 here, cut these back, that'll push out 2 more, go from there. And I could leave this as like the leader for this side kind of thing. The problem is I'm going to have a really ugly cut there. I'm not sure I want that. So what I've decided to do, let's say for now, is to actually just turn this branch so I can twist it. This branch here can become the leader on this side, and this can start the cascade. I can start biopurification from there. Realistically, I'm only going to want 1 or 2 pads off of this, and then a couple branches off of this one, not too much growing on the inside of the tree. And realistically, the second apex wants to be about this tall maybe, so it's going to be quite a tight, compact part of it. So we're going to go for that. What I'm going to try and do is do this cut from the back, so it kind of hides it a little bit more, but I'm not sure how I'm going to be able to do that. Because it's a branch that's originating underneath, that's the issue. Let's see if I can get these in here. Okay. Cut some more bits off first. Give myself some space. Okay. I don't think I'm going to be able to cut this from the back. Unless I come in on a different angle. Okay, we sort of got it from the back. There's a little bit left over there. That'll probably die back. Put some cut paste on it, and then I can come back in with a standing blade at some point. So I'm hoping now you can kind of see the shape that I thought of for this tree. It's kind of sinking down. Okay, so pull you in a bit closer. So here's the base. I've got some roots coming out here. Should lead to some nice labari, to be fair. That'll come to the repot. Main leader, obviously a back branch here, which is going to become kind of a side branch eventually. Kind of curl around. I'm not sure I need this, but I will leave it for now just to try and keep some more foliage on the tree. I mean, you can see how much I've cut off. I will give you a damage cam in a sec. This branch obviously comes out to the left. Probably a new leader, somewhere around here. After I wire this, because this is a big old chunk of, just a big old chunk of wood up here. And then obviously I've cut these little fiddly branches here just to give me some options. And then the cascade part, or semi-cascade part, which is this kind of branch. This kind of branch leading out with this. And then we're going to wire this one up and this one down. And obviously give that a bit more shape as well. Onto the wiring. Before we move on to the wiring, damage cam. So yeah, these are the branches that I've cut off so far, right? And even these thicker ones here, these should potentially root. What I'm going to do is, I mean, this one will be a nice marmite kind of size. I don't know if you can see all the angle on that, but it's quite a nice angle at the base if the roots come out there. Although it's a bit straight here, there's a nice kick off there. You know, sometimes it's nice to use cuttings that are a bit thicker. Sometimes it's not as good. What I will do, because even if it does make a cutting, it's going to become an issue. So you've got some large branches here, little fiddly ones. Obviously, I won't grow it as large as this for a cutting. It'll probably stop around somewhere there, and that could be another cutting over there. But just saying, with Cotoneaster, what I've found is you can root quite large cuttings. And obviously, as I say, starting off with bigger cuttings leads to more growth quickly. A bigger tree to start with, but then also can reverse a lot of inverse taper. But here we go, these are all the cuttings. So I'll have fun with them a little bit later. See if I can get any of them to root, and I'll update you on that later. Anyway, let's just push them to the side. Looking very messy around here. Okay, wiring wise. Actually, first, let's put some cut base on, just so we know we've got it on. Or do we? We don't. Okay, wiring type. Got a little carry case here full of all my wire. But that's there. So in general, when it comes to wiring, obviously the thickness of the wire does matter. The thicker the wire, the better it's going to hold that branch. But something like this, let's say, which is quite thick, if I put this on this branch, I'm either going to likely snap the branch, or the branch will move around inside the wire, because I can't, you just physically can't get this wire that tight. Something like this, which is quite thin, obviously I can put that around this branch easy. Will it move it and keep it in that place? Probably not. So the general rule I use for, especially for aluminum, copper's a little bit different, but aluminum, my American, aluminium, that's how we say it. My general rule of thumb for aluminium is that the wire needs to be at least half the diameter of the branch. And obviously, I don't know the exact diameter of the branch, but you can do it by eye. So I'm going to say that branch there probably is about that kind of gauge of wire. I don't know which this one is. I peeled all the sizes off. I'll just do it by eye. Now, if I was going to move something like this trunk, then yeah, of course, the bigger wire needs to come out for that. Either that, or you can, instead of using this wire, let's say, you could use, let me get it out. You could use this wire, wrap around twice. Either way, you need the holding power. So I think I will actually start with some trunk wire, because I'm going to see if I can try and move this. So we're going to use a big boy wire for it. Now, what I'm about to do, I'm pretty sure most bonsai people would absolutely crucify me for. It's in a nursery container, right? And there's not many other ways I can really secure this wire down. If this was, you know, an established tree, a really old tree, and I was trying to make movements like this, I probably wouldn't do it this way, because I'm stabbing into the root ball. But I'm pretty sure that already in this container, because it's been in this kind of, you know, open mix, just like, you know, nursery kind of stuff, I'm not really probably breaking many roots putting that wire into there. The roots will be quite spaced out. There's going to be a lot of space in here. So, yeah. So what I like to do is obviously get the wire in. If I pull the wire out, I can kind of gauge how much I'm going to need of it for the main part. Probably about there. Now, you should use proper wire cutters. Don't use your snippers. Do as I say, not as I do kind of stuff, yeah. I think we've all got all some bad habits. That's what I can't get rid of, apparently. So, we're going to start wrapping around. So, obviously being very careful. Controlling both ends of the wire at the same time, okay? You want to be kind of holding with this hand. I mean, it depends what hand you are. I'm left-handed, so I find that it's easier to wire with the left, hold with the right. My right hand's the strongest as well, so it's good for holding. I was going to hold that wire against the trunk there and just make sure that I'm not putting too much force this way onto the branch or the trunk, but also making sure that I get that tight connection. Ryan Neal says it, I forget what he actually says now. It's same spacing, no gaps. Can't remember the rest. That kind of stuff sticks in your head. Same angle, there you go. So it should be between, I believe, a 35 and 45 degree angle-ish. I'm not too hooked up on that kind of stuff. especially with the material I have. But essentially, you just want to wire it up in a nice, neat way, nice neat coil, very tight to the trunk. The more movement you got when you come to actually bend, the easier it is to snap. Obviously, the thicker the wood, the harder it's going to be to bend, but also it becomes more brittle as well. So these are very bendy, right? I can't do that with the trunk at all, it won't move. So the bending process, so as you can see, I've wired this, what way is that? That is anti-clockwise. Anti-clockwise, and I've got this kind of bulger wire here on the outside. My idea for that is that I'm actually going to bend this trunk kind of this way. So this will support the outside of that, and obviously this is where, so if you called it the other way, the problem is when you come to bend it, you're then going to end up with a gap on this kind of ridge here. So you've got to kind of think which direction you want to wire, which direction you want to bend, and that depends how much you want to, well, what direction you wire in. The problem is here, I'm going to have to put my thumb somewhere here, and the problem is this could snap off some of the inside branches, but we're just going to go. So here comes a bit of a bend. So I'll bend a bit, I'll let it reset, and then we'll go again. Do a bit of a deeper bend. Now, as I say, I don't want incredible amounts of movement from that, but I do need it to not be as straight as what it is still. This come around this way maybe. Let's put the bottom from here. You've got to kind of look at these weak points, right? So the weak points are going to be where the branches kind of attach. These shoulders, if it's going to go anywhere, it's probably where it's going to go. It's going to snap. But you should be able to also feel it if it's going to do that. And there you go. Quite a thick wire. Quite a bit of pressure just to get that little bend. I don't know if you can see that. It's just a little kick out now instead of being dead straight. Again, if I use, say, this little branch here as a leader in the future, that's then going to change the movement straight away from that. But I just want that kind of flowy kind of movement rather than being a straight bit. You know, it's a lot of effort just for the maybe 2 or 3 degree move that's made. Now, if some species as well will kick back over time, they will eventually straighten themselves back out. What you can do with that is either obviously, you know, more wire, more dramatic bend. Or you can use a tie down wire or, what do they call it? A guide wire, yeah. So a guide wire, and you could guide wire from, you know, any part of this. I usually put like a hole in the pot here, let's say, and you could use a really thin wire, tighten that up, and that'll kind of hold that in that space. I might do that. What I might do is keep wiring out. We'll see how much it straightens up over time that I'm still recording. If it does start to straighten out, then I can look at it from there. Okay. So for branches, now this one, I'm not sure I actually want to put much into this. I think what I will do is I'll use this size wire. And I'm going to try and match this up now. Now, this is where wiring can get a little bit messy for me because I haven't really thought about it before. I'm going to try and use a 2-branch method, as always, right? You want to try and use your leverages and everything else. And what I'd like to do is use this one wire for both of these. Now, this wire is quite thick for these branches, but I'm thinking about moving this a little bit, if I can. But it will also hold them in place quite well. So I like to stretch it out, get it to the right size. Use some form of wire cutter or pliers. Don't use your snippers. Just go a little bit longer because obviously where we're going to be wrapping it around, you will lose a bit of that length. It's better just to go a little bit over. So it's going to have to go. This wire essentially wants to follow your original wire rather than crossing over it and creating like a kind of, call that pinch point, I suppose you could call it. So that went anti-clockwise, that's when I'm getting it wrong. So yeah, this wire kind of wants to follow that, this wire over here, and this one I can do whichever way I want, really. I think I'm going to come, do I want to come up? I think I will come up a little bit on this one. So there is roots there. I wonder if I can get underneath Nice. Lovely. So there are some roots there, which is just going to hold that wire in that place. And because I want to come up, I'm going to come this way round here. Just making sure that I'm tight in with this branch and this shoulder here. So where it connects. That's going to support that part of the branch when it comes to bending. Naturally, the tree is kind of, as I twist this up, this wants to be a lady, this wants to come down, so I'm going to wire around to this one. And you're trying to not trap foliage, obviously. If you trap a couple of leaves, it isn't the worst thing in the world. Especially with something that grows this compact. You could be there for hours trying to wire that without getting anything. I'm going to have to think about this one. I think I might even be able to just come over here, get that down in there, and then follow this one round. Lovely. What I want to make sure is, I'm on the outside of this thicker wire here, which then goes into this shoulder. I'm going to come over this nub, use that as a bit of a support, and then again, enter again at this shoulder, just to support that branch as much as possible while I do bend it. And this wire doesn't have to actually go all the way to the end, as I said, eventually it's going to get cut back. But it's just to get that first initial shape into the branch. Lovely. So there you go, 2-branch method, quite neat wiring, the right way around for what I need it. So we give this a bit of a wobble. And again, I don't want huge amounts of movement there. This will be the carry-on. You know, it's important not just to bend up, down, left, right. You've got to kind of move these things around in angles, create some good movement. And just be careful that we're not snapping anything here. Okay, so that's essentially going to be the apex part of this. And this one's going to have to come down here. What I'll do is I'll throw on a smaller wire gauge and just follow this branch all the way up and follow this one out. That'll be that part there. Okay, maybe this needs to move that a little bit more for a bit more drama. It's that one there. I'll move this one up and around. There we go. Okay, and then for this branch, I'm just going to make some movement in the beginning of it. So your first couple of branches should really be like a warm hug, right? You want the tree to be saying hello to whichever viewer they've got. Sorry, that's silly. So I find that it's best to make these branches kind of come inwards, right? And you want this kind of view. You want the tree to be doing this here, so that when you're looking at it, it's kind of engaging you. If you push these branches outwards, it's going to look like it's moving away from you, which isn't too welcoming, let's say, to the eye. So what I do is I'm just going to move this branch around a little bit, little wiggles here and there. Now, of course, over time when this thickens, this movement will kind of come out, you know, like say like this bend here. That's probably quite a drastic bend when it was a little branch. As it thickens, you tend to lose the true shape of that bend. What I don't want to do is I don't want to be parallel to the ground here. I think that's pretty good, maybe a bit more. If I kick it out more at the back, I can move it in more at the front. And a bit more out to the side. Lovely. There we go. Throw some small wire on this one. You'll have to let me go. Sorry. You'll have to let me know if this is kind of the more content you want compared to what I've been doing. Again, much like with a tree, it's a bit of a shared experience, I suppose, now that it's on YouTube and I'm kind of vlogging it. It's a shared experience between what I want to do and what you guys like to see, right? Because I started making videos because I thought, well, I'm doing it anyway, so what's the difference in recording and doing it? But obviously, there is a big difference. And, you know, I'm not on YouTube to get famous, right? It isn't one of them. It's just more to inspire people, especially people my age as well. So, you know, I got into bonsai when I was 23, perhaps 24. I liked it even as a younger kid as well, though. I did have a bonsai tree. I think the first one was 16, maybe. I've always had a thing for Asian culture in different aspects. And bonsai is what spoke to me the most out of it all. Always had a bit of green thumb. My nan brought me up that way. She was always in the garden. I was always helping her with the flowers, and I've always looked at trees and been kind of amazed by how it kind of works. The nature part of it, I suppose. But with that being said, I want it to be enjoyable for you guys, right? Because otherwise, what's the point of making the videos? For the people that I do have watching, kind of thing. I want it to actually be a bit enjoyable for you, and that it's content that you'd either like to see or, you know, I'll take recommendations as well. Obviously, there will be times where I'm going to make a video because I want to make it, which is my right. But there's going to be other times where, you know, you guys want to see something specific maybe, and I've overlooked it. So please feel free to let me know what you'd like to see. Now, I don't think this wire's going to be thick enough to hold that long term. This is the kind of shape I'm thinking of. Obviously, as I say, this side will come in, and this side will push out. That's how we go there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to lift this branch up because I don't want them on the same plane, right? So if you look at these two branches, I'm going to try and level it out like that for you. If you look at these two branches, you don't want the pads on the same plane. That kind of ruins the age of the look. That's more of a juvenile situation. So I'm just going to bring this branch up here, little kick up and then down there, whereas that one just kind of flows down. I think this will need a thicker wire over time. I'm not too fussed about the top of this because the apex will literally stop about here for this one, and then it'll kind of come down with this. It's just all about the angles. Maybe if I push that back first, come back around, maybe a bit of that kind of movement. Lovely. Okay, beautiful. So I'm not too sure what I want to do with this branch. Do I keep it for now? Decisions. This back one here, I'm not going to wire at all for now because it's really quite weak. I'm just going to let that grow out, get a bit more strength, and then I can wire it maybe in the spring. It's not in a bad place anyway, the way it is. Kind of, I want it kind of down here, really. There's a back branch. Same goes for these kind of branches where they're quite weak. I might make a leader out of them. I'm just going to leave them for now. Don't want to mess around too much. Decisions. If I do bend this down, I want to cut this away from this so it takes out the sunlight. It could potentially come in front, I suppose. The problem is no, if I bend this down, which obviously I want to do because that creates the age, it's then parallel with this one over here. If I leave it up, it kind of ruins the. I don't really like this whole, you know, this going this way and then this there. I could drastically bend it down, be on a different plane, then it works into this one. It hides one at the back, and obviously you get this horrible U-bend here. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to cut that off. Okay, it's gone. Now that's really all I'm going to cut off this tree because that's a lot that I've cut off already. Okay, I think we're there. Just having a final check, making sure. So I think this will be the front eventually here. I like this. There's a big root that's coming out here as well. So obviously when it comes to root potting, we'll see what that's doing. You'll have some roots off of this one. This looks quite a long straight section here, but obviously the more I turn this round, the shorter that becomes. That kind of comes here. I know this apex around here, and that'll be like a secondary kind of apex. This branch still comes round, the tree's still coming towards you. Whichever one I make out of these, a leader, probably this one. Yeah, okay, I'm liking that. So what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to mark that as a front for now. Just make sure I don't lose it, and this just helps when you come back to do any kind of work on it, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, there was the front. You can actually forget over time, especially when you've got quite a few trees like I've got now. When you've only got 2 or 3, it's not too bad, but when you get more and more trees, you have to kind of remind yourself constantly of where you want the front to be. So that's the kind of front we're looking at. What I'll do is it will only be on paint, so it's going to be nothing amazing. I'm essentially going to take now a screenshot of this and paint it as how I think it will look 3-4 years time kind of thing, once I've got some bifluorification and ramification going on. And then we can come back and see if it's actually done that. That'd be good to do. Just gonna whack some cut paste on this and then we'll be done. Oh, that's a lot. Whew. Overdone that. Okay. At least got some for the rest of the tree now. So as I say, it'd be interesting to see what you guys think of the way that I'm doing content now, the way that I'm kind of moving on. Yeah, I've said it a few times before, right? I'm in full-time work like most people. This isn't a full-time job for me. Obviously, I don't get paid doing any of this. I wouldn't expect to, it's only a hobby. But because of that, obviously, you know, I have other things I've got to do, and I honestly love the bonsai kind of hobby. I love making these kind of trees, and I love making videos as well. I was making videos before on gaming content and, you know, other things. I've always kind of been quite interested in the video making aspect, but as I do work full time, and it's quite a tiring role at times that I work. I don't always have time to then, you know, come home and edit. Right, I come home some days and I just want to mellow out, relax, do things to chill out with, and especially this time of year in the winter, I can't really film outside. The videos are kind of few and far between, and I just want to be uploading more. You know, it isn't like I feel like I've got to. I just want to, do things. The channel will grow more if I can do that. So, yeah, in terms of this kind of style of video, I think this is going to be quicker for me to put out. You know, there's less editing involved, less messing around. My laptop's kind of old as well, so it doesn't really like me editing 4K videos for that long. So yeah, you'll have to let me know what you think. But that is this Cotoneaster. Exciting news for the next video. I've actually bought a stone pine, Italian stone pine. Kind of out of the Christmas section, right? It looks a little bit like a Christmas tree right now, the shape of it. But yeah, I'll be blending that from the trunk up, so that'll be a initial styling. I look forward to that one, so hopefully see you soon. Just give you a final spin around of the tree. If you enjoyed today's content, please make sure to subscribe, like, and hit that bell notification. I'll see you soon.